Good morning. I'm Johnny Morris, and this is really kind of get serious time for the Bears. The coach wants to see some playoff intensity against the Redskins in Washington. And, of course, Howard Sudbury, he's out in the audience to get some questions. And Mike's special guest is wide receiver Wendell Davis, who had 2 big touchdowns last Sunday. Mike, you had one of the toughest kind of losses, the way you lost the game last Sunday. What's been the mindset this week? You think you guys are ready mentally?
Well, you know, John, first of all, you know, we're a good football team. Now, yeah, we lost some football game, but we're a good football team. So all the things that people want to say and believe are really false to me. I can't buy it. Mm-hmm. We just haven't won some games that we could have won, and that's a big disappointment. But our mindset of our football team, and we understand what we have to do, is to go out and win. They're ready to play. We've had an unusual week of practice. Practice in the dark one day inside. But that's okay. You know, everything has its reason in life. And so I want to get that statement across. This is a good football team. These kids are trying. They're working hard. And I'm proud of them. So we're going to do our best. And it's, you know, like Joe said, you know, it's time to find out what's going on this week between Washington and Chicago. Is going to prove something to somebody one way or the other.
Okay, we'll be back with the Mike Ditka Show coming up. That you had a meeting with the team to talk about the playoffs and said, hey, you want the commitment to make the playoffs. Do you feel that you have to win every game to win the division, the rest of the games?
I don't know what's going to happen from here on out with the other football teams in our division, but I think if you want to guarantee you're going to be in the playoffs, you win every football game. I think that sews it up for sure. Mm-hmm. But I really don't know what's going to happen the rest of the way out, John. It's an unusual year, and it just so happens that this is a year it looks like it's falling in the Central Division, mm-hmm. And maybe the Central Division of the AFL, American Football Conference also, because everything seems to be packed in there pretty close with a couple teams that they have a chance to win. But we can guarantee it if we win them all, we're there.
Well, Mike Tomczak's going to be the starter, and of course, we all remember a year ago when he played against Washington, he had a super game.
He did, and in answer to what you said, Mike Tomczak was the starter, and we replaced him with Jim because he had a bad streak, but I never considered that he wasn't the starter, and I don't consider that Jim isn't the starter. I think you've got to play with who you think you can win with. Our job is to win. It's not, you know, the popularity contest is out the window now. Mm-hmm. You know, we had that the first week of the season. Remember? Mm, yeah. Who they wanted to start, and you know they all voted for Sid Luckman, and so.
We've got some videotape of Jim Harbaugh, who is not the starter this week, and he scrambled quite a bit. There were some problems with this, some guys beyond the line of scrimmage, but if he plays in the game, of course, he'd come off the bench, and a scrambling type of quarterback is a good guy that has to come in if he needed to be.
Well, he's a good guy whether he scrambles, whether he comes off the bench, or whether he sells ties on the corner. He's okay.
Okay, now here was one of the running game. You've been trying to get the running game going. You had a nice one here as Anderson went all the way.
Well, one reason it's a good play is because if you'll notice, everybody blocks pretty well on the play. Muster makes a good block. Thornton makes a good block. Thayer makes a good block. McKinnon makes a good block. Wendell Davis makes a good block. Usually when everybody blocks, the play's pretty good. Covert makes a good block. A lot of people make good blocks. You're surprised they usually work. And as I said, Dennis Gentry made a block, and here Wendell picks off the last guy. So, you know, and it makes it, you know, Neal, pretty tough to catch Neal. You give him a hole like that.
And then, of course, Tomczak came in near the end of the game through 3 touchdown passes. This is the first one that got him going.
You really can't say enough about his performance, John, and, you know, which we've talked about all week. He played outstanding football. And, it was good to see the guys go catch the football, but he does a good job, and Mike wanted to do this on his own. We wanted to go down the field and stretch the defense some, but he knew he could get the guy. The guy sitting down, I'm going to pump him and try to get it up over top. And, of course, the ball can't be thrown no better than that. Because if it's thrown anywhere else, it's knocked down.
Do you think Tomczak's mindset might even be better now than it was at the beginning of the season? Maybe he felt the pressure of all of a sudden he had the job taking over for McMahon, and now he was benched and he's back in and has kind of nothing to lose in a sense. You think mentally it might be?
I think his mindset was excellent. It might be better, but I mean, somebody asked me the question earlier in the week, you know, if his attitude is better or than it was, and I don't think that's possible. somebody asked him, he said he thinks he's learned from the experience, but Mike's going to do what he can do to win. I mean, he's going out there. He's got the best attitude, most positive attitude of any guy I run into. He believes he can, he could, win all of them. I mean, that's what he believes.
Okay, let's go out into the audience.
Coach Ditka, you seem to have a problem with the offensive line, not knowing when to run, block for the run or for the pass with Harbaugh in there. How are they supposed to tell the difference?
Well, if the quarterback's going to run with the ball, he should say go, and sometimes when he doesn't, it becomes hard. Those guys are only trying to protect him, so sometimes they cross the line of scrimmage. But, this is the first week that's happened. It hadn't happened any other week. So, and Harbaugh's been running a lot of weeks. In Pittsburgh, he ran all over the place, and it didn't happen in Pittsburgh. So, I don't know.
I was wondering if Dexter Manley would affect the offense this week.
If he played, he would affect our offense because he's a good player. He's a darn good player, but they're not going to have him because he had a problem. But he's a good football player. But, the other guy they replace him with is a team game. Everybody will compliment everybody. They won't miss him that much, but he's a darn good player.
Yeah, Coach Ditka, I was wondering about the tight ends. You seemed, earlier in the season, they seemed to be effective, but in the last 3 games, you haven't used them too much. I was wondering how you're going to use them against the Redskins.
I was thinking the same thing this week. How good everybody said. We started throwing to the tight ends early, and now we haven't thrown the ball to them, and they've kind of gone unnoticed. I think we'll try to get the ball to them some this week. They should match up some in the man-to-man coverage, and they should be able to fare pretty well against the people covering them.
Coach, why did Jim Harbaugh throw long?
Why does he what?
Why didn't Jim Harbaugh throw long during the game?
Throw long during the game? It might have been the plays that were called, and then again it might have been because he was just trying to get the ball to the short receiver. I'm really not sure, son. It's too hard to say that, every read we have is long, medium, and short. But, so, if you don't look long, then you got to go medium. If you don't look medium, then the only place you got to go is short.
Where do you think Jim Harbaugh figures in your future?
I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be a fine quarterback in the NFL, and I think, if you look at Jim, he's no different than a lot of young quarterbacks that came on the scene. As a matter of fact, the one up in Denver right now who's all-pro is having problems at times, so, it's not any embarrassment at that position to have problems because, first of all, they booed Bradshaw, they booed a lot of good quarterbacks out of a lot of good cities, Sonny Jurgensen. They've even booed Unitas, which is almost unheard of, John. What I've heard, they booed. Yeah.
Bill Wade, they
booed everybody. They booed, but so he'll be okay. He'll come back. He'll bounce back. He's a good kid. Good. He made good stuff.
Okay, let's go to defense now and take a look at some of the videotape. The defense played well in the first half.
Well, the coverage was. This is a coverage sack, John. Really, Trey stays after him and makes the play, but it's a coverage sack. They covered everybody, and that was a good job.
And it was actually the fridge that forced him to move a little bit. The fridge that...
Well, the fridge put some heat in there. He just couldn't get on track there. He was...
a little tough to change directions there.
He went right through the railroad crossing.
Okay, Donnell Wolford played well, then gave up a couple of key ones, but this was one of his better plays.
Yeah, this is a great play, but here you would like to see this ball picked off even. I think you can pick those kind of passes off.
Better go for the grab rather than batting away.
That's right. You're right in position now. As the ball comes down, you got to high point the ball and catch it. You don't bat that away. You catch it, and that's what he's got to learn to do. And I'm only being critical to the sense that to be the best football player he can be, he's got to be able to do that.
Okay, here was the play that really...
Yeah, this one hurt. This one really did, because it really looked like Testaverde really threw this as a second thought, like he really, didn't mean. He just flicked it out there, and of course the guy ended up catching it, and we missed 2 tackles, and he makes a touchdown.
In 3 of the 4 losses that you've had, there's been a disturbing trend where you have gotten ahead, and it used to be when the Bear defense got on top of you and you're ahead, there was no way a team was going to go down and come back and win the game. It's a disturbing trend. Have you done anything this week to kind of analyze it or anything?
Yeah, I know, because you go through the thing, John. What do? You play zone, you play man, you blitz. If we blitz and we get beat, we're going to say this. If we play zone and they throw the short ones underneath. But in this case, we should have been in the zone defense, in my opinion, there. That we should have had help behind. The only guy that I really felt on their football team that could hurt us was Carrier. And we shut him out the first half, I believe. And he did hurt us, because I don't think Hill could hurt us. I didn't think the other receivers, Hall could hurt us, the tight end. But I thought Carrier could. And that's the same when you play a team like San Francisco. You got to try to take Rice out of the offense. You got to try to take Carter out of the offense in Minnesota. That's just what you have to do. And we did a good job of it, but on occasion, you know, we didn't play the backup zone all the time, and when we did, we just got beat there. And really, he didn't get beat that much. He got beat twice. He got beat once in the whole game. The other time, he should have had help behind.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be back with more on the Mike Ditka Show right after this time. Welcome to our guest, Wendell Davis. Well, Wendell, of course, a lot of it is appreciation of the great catches you made last Sunday. It's been probably a lot of satisfaction for you, even though you guys didn't win the football game. You had so many injuries to begin this year, you probably thought you were never going to get in there and get a chance to do anything.
Well, it was satisfying for me, but, you know, after the catches was made and the game was over, it didn't feel so great because of the fact that we lost. But during that time, when I made those catches, I felt great. I was so excited that I liked to pass that on the sideline, and you know, it was one of the most exciting games I ever been a part of.
Didn't you? Was it a hamstring injury you had early?
Yeah, I had early.
Had you ever had one before?
That's the first time.
It's the worst kind, isn't it?
Yeah, you never know when it's right, and you just have to keep plugging at it, and you know, it's feeling okay now, and I'm trying to do my best out there.
I think we ought to take a look at some of your catches right now. We want to see them again and give you a chance to talk about them. What went through your mind on this one?
Well, the first one, I felt we needed to get back into I knew I was coming to the back of the end zone, and Halfback threw a great pass.
Now, you were thinking, because you had the presence of mind to drag that left foot when you came down, the last foot there, and then, boom, you dragged the toe right there.
Yeah, I knew I was pretty close. I knew I was pretty close to getting out of bounds, so I stopped a little bit. I held up a little bit.
Do you practice that at practice on the sidelines and stuff like that, dragging your feet?
Well, you have to do it all the time. When we're in practice, you catch a ball on the sideline. You have to make sure you're in bounds.
Okay. This one, were you surprised about the one-on-one coverage?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised on the one-on-one coverage, but I knew I had him one-on-one, and I had to beat him. I had to beat him, and I used my technique and got behind him.
And I think this is the one where you really went bonkers after that.
Yeah, I believe that's when I got exhausted and like to pass out on the sideline.
For a receiver, there's nothing like catching that bomb.
That's it, and especially when you're in the end zone.
That's right. Okay, let's go out in the audience and get some questions for Wendell.
This is for Wendell. Do you think you're as good as Jerry Rice or better?
Jerry Rice is a great receiver, and you know, he's one of a lot of people idolize him, and I like him a lot because he makes some spectacular catches. I like to do the things that he do, and I think I can be better than he can. He is.
Coach, what do you think of Wendell on the punt return this weekend?
Wendell hasn't recovered from New England last year yet. You guys don't remember that, but I do. I had a heart attack right after.
I do too. I remember. I remember too.
He brought up an interesting question, though. Who's going to return punts this week?
Well, that is an interesting question, but you know, before the game starts, we'll have a bunch of them out there catching. You know who catches punts best for us? And Wendell will tell you who's the best guy we got.
Cap Boso.
Cap Boso.
Oh, come on.
No. Catching the ball the best, John.
But we're not going to see Cat Bozo back on punt return.
You want it caught, or you want somebody back there looks good?
So you have a number of candidates, and it's kind of
and Cap has just joined the ranks.
Okay, that'd be good. Okay, a 240-pound punt returner.
Coach Ditka, I'd just like to say that it's really nice to be on your show again. And I just want to wish you and your family, the entire Bears organization, a very happy Thanksgiving. Also, if anybody that thinks that we can get to the Super Bowl without you, forget it, because you're going to get us back there. You will get us back there.
Yeah, my brother came all the way in from Pennsylvania.
This is for Mike. How
How do you feel about Dan Hampton being out of the game?
I don't feel good about Dan Hampton being out, and that was a very good question, but Dan had some surgery on it. Again, he had the left knee done, then he had the right knee done. Right knee, he had a slight torn cartilage in that, which was repaired on Monday. Things look pretty good. Dan's going to be back next year, I'm pretty sure, and he's going to give it a run, and I think he can play another year, but he's out for this year.
Wendell, let me ask you about the practice conditions this week. You know, you had the snow on the field, and you go into that little gym. As a receiver, you don't really get to work on the timing all that much. There's not that much room in there, is there?
Well, there's other things than just catching the ball. We worked on our blocking today, and I think
that's your favorite thing to do, right?
No, it's not my favorite, but it's a part of being a receiver, and you have to do these things. And Coach Ditka told us we have to block better, so we worked on that today.
I see. Okay.
Wendell, I was wondering, based on your performance at the end of Sunday's game, you're going to get a new feeling of confidence that you can pull games out on the clutch.
Well, being a receiver, that's what I thought a receiver responsibility is, to pull a game out in the clutch. And that's the way I approach it. I'm the type of receiver who likes to be the clutch man. And my idol was Drew Pearson, who made a lot of clutch catches, and I just patterned myself after him. And I hope to make a lot of more clutch catches this year.
You know, Wendell led the Southeastern Conference of all the time that's been in operation. That's a long time. He's the all-time leading receiver in the Southeast Conference. There's some pretty good football. He's won a few. One more?
Yeah, this is for Wendell. Do you think that tenacity is something that can be coached, or does a player have to have it going in?
I think you have to have it going in. I mean, it has to be instilled in you before you even get on the football field. I don't think it can be coached into you. A player has to have it into him.
Okay, we'll be back with more on the Mike Ditka Show coming up. The Redskins for a moment. What is it you like best about them, and where can they be exploited if they can?
Well, am I supposed to like something best about them?
Well, I mean, where are they the strongest?
Well, actually, they played pretty good on defense, John, lately. They really... You know Richie, and I know Richie. We play with them. They're not afraid to blitz you. They're going to pressure the line of scrimmage with 8 people. They use a multiple number of sets and coverages to try to confuse you. But basically, it turns out there's going to be a certain percentage zone and man. If they get behind you, forget it. They're coming after you. They're going to blitz the heck out of you. And just the way he coaches. And maybe they'll blitz us without getting behind. But he gives a lot. But they've had problems on offense, John. They turned the ball over 6 times against the Raiders, I think. That's why they got beat so bad out there. But when they haven't turned it over, they played pretty well.
Yeah, they turned over against Denver on Monday night, too. Okay, let's go out into the audience and get a couple more questions.
We've got a Ditka Show regular here.
Oh,
Coach,
yes.
or irregular.
Coach, I was just wondering if you could assess the defense. Is it the game plan, or is it missed assignments?
Well, I really believe that anything that you put in, it can be if it can be executed properly, it'll work. So you got to say that the execution wasn't good. The touchdown pass you saw somebody should have tackled the guy.
You know, you keep talking about the execution, the missed blocks, and is it they're not doing that more consistently this year? Is it because they're not playing as hard as you want them, or is this team not as good as last year's? There's got to be a reason for it, I mean.
Well, I think there is a reason. I think there's more than one reason. Sometimes the reason is the team you're playing too. When you don't execute, you got to give them a little bit of credit. But I think that becomes one of the problems. But no, it's not that we're not playing hard. We're not playing as well. I'll say that.
Okay.
Mike, are you surprised that 11 weeks in, 7-4 is in first place, and everybody's this bunched up in the whole conference, really?
Yeah, I'm surprised because I thought we'd be 11-0.
This is for the coach. What do you think was the most exciting game you've played so far?
Any one of the 6 that we won would have been okay with me. They were all exciting. The other ones were kind of exciting, but they were more exciting for the other guys. I would say probably our best win was, I don't know, which one was our best win? It had to be Minnesota.
Oh boy, probably the Vikings, even though it wasn't close. The exciting games you've lost.
No.
But with that, we're going to end to this week's Mike Ditka Show. We'll see you next week. That's it.